and why investors, I guess, are so worried about the founders stepping down. What's the significance of this development, I guess?
Well, Evergrande itself is saying that this is all par for the core. Now it's not doing its backdoor listing, but of course the timing of this in particular is being heavily scrutinized by investors. And the other question is whether or not this is part of a distancing of the onshore unit from the offshore. And normally, of course, that wouldn't be kind of a massive problem, but in the context of a potential restructuring or potential missed payment, in that sort of scenario, the proximity of offshore investors to the onshore assets and to onshore units, that becomes much more important.
The timing of the move, as you mentioned, was key. What does this mean for investors right now? What clues are you still looking ahead to, or what's the next event?
Well, so in terms of clues, we are seeing sort of bits of news here and there about potential sort of other SOEs taking stakes in some of Evergrande's other onshore units, of course, which is positive. But really, the scrutiny is where are offshore investors going to stand on the other side of this? Evergrande itself doesn't actually have to repay any major public bond for 7 or 8 months now until March next year. And so that's partly why we're also seeing investors scrutinize every single little piece of news in this way.
Hwarong, latest on that?
Well, so we had the EGM, and I think that pretty much just went off as expected. So they approved a series of proposals, the new president, and of course, we're seeing again this move to cut some of those non-core assets from the kind of the business there. I think the key thing is we've seen this quite interesting rally in the Hwarong dollar bonds over the past few days. Interestingly, there's a bit of divergence. Onshore, we're seeing some notes fall here and there. In the offshore space, it's really on this sort of positive news about CITIC potentially being involved. Though, of course, we don't have clarity yet on what kind of capital injection that might involve.